Hello, I'm Angela.
And I'm Marie, the second half of this mother and daughter team.
Welcome to Chakra Checkups.
We're here to guide you on your quest for spiritual knowledge and enlightenment.
Another day, another episode with Angela and Marie. Chakra checkups.
Chakra checkups.
Here we go. One of our very first episodes, we were talking about the chakra system, and I've realized that we kind of haven't talked about it since. And if there's anything that I hear you talk about more than anything else, is people have a tendency to disregard traumatic things that have happened to them when you point out different health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's such a faux pas on people being like, oh, like what I've been through is normal and it wasn't traumatic or it wasn't as traumatic as this other people or it wasn't a big deal. And yet the littlest things can be held in your energy, causing you health issues.
Well, you're right on two counts. One, the interesting thing is that people that have had very little trauma comparatively, they often are very focused on that trauma and healing that trauma, and in a way that becomes a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
People that have had a lot of trauma, they've had parents that have been hitting them and screaming them, and sometimes I've heard cases of people that literally been bloodied up by one or the other parent multiple times. They tend to try to minimize it and disregard it altogether. Oh, like that wasn't that bad. I got through that okay. The more traumatized someone is, oftentimes the more they don't think of that as maybe the cause of some of their physical problems.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think people don't think about their physical problems being related to anything, energetic or something that has happened to them in the past. Unless you're like, oh, I have this injury from when I fell off a cliff and my back's never been the same, or something very obvious. But
Right.
like energetically, you're like, oh, like physically, I've healed from that. But then, you have tightness in your chest or always having a stomach issue or something.
Well, I think the thing that here's a big clue for everybody out there. If you have symptoms and the doctors can't find any reason for those symptoms, I guarantee you that that is from trauma that you're holding in your chakra system.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, and all, well, wait a minute, I'll back up a little bit. Every illness starts with an energetic problem. There are no exceptions. Every illness starts with something happening in your energy,
Hmm.
being held in the chakras, and then manifest as one or more symptoms.
So that's interesting because I would have thought that there would be a couple exceptions to that.
Well, a car wreck isn't necessarily an illness, although that even can be started by the same thing.
I mean, I guess I go to symptoms that maybe you're born with. Physical ailments maybe that started from birth.
But that's not necessarily an illness. That's more like, well, a birth defect or problems with genetics.
Uh-huh.
Although even genetics, I would sometimes say, start with an energetic problem, but probably not in this life.
Right. Okay.
I had that one girl who had Down syndrome who came to me and said, "In my last life, I didn't die well, and I think that's why I have these physical problems in this life."
Hmm.
That's what her soul actually said to me, which I found kind of stunning because I would never have thought that about her or necessarily anybody, but that was the main concern she had. But let's just go back to this lifetime because that's complicated enough.
Yeah.
If I look at somebody's chakra system and some of the worst ones, maybe they have, of their seven chakras, they'll have dark red, dark blue, or black in 10 places in their chakras.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot. I know right away these people have a lot of pain. I'll say, "You have a lot of pain." Yes, I do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you ache all over. Yes, the doctors can't find anything. Right again. you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they have select problems that are more complicated in various different organs. If you're holding something dark in your chakras, your brother hit you, your parents abandoned you, whatever it is a negative dark energy, and it's going to pull energy from that physical part of your body and deplete it. So the immune system can't work as well, and it's very difficult to keep everything running and the right way it's supposed to be running. So if you were grabbed by the neck and choked, you probably have thyroid problems. Thyroid relates to the ability to communicate and to have your will do what you want it to do. So if someone grabs you or chokes you or something like that, then you definitely lost your will at that point, And if it's been repeated, I've had people where I said, "Does someone always hitting you in the back of the head or the back of the neck?" "Oh, yeah." My dad always did that when he wanted me to listen. Something like that. Um, then you'll have thyroid problems.
But it could also be something small that just you've never let go of or always created a guard up since something happened.
Yes, you can have that happen one time or something happen just one time. And
Like even just a really bad negative argument.
yes, someone screamed at you or something or said you're no good or,
Yeah.
And it just sort of went into your heart in a way that you was shocked and you separated from part of your soul, and that dark energy stuck in that chakra. The thing about the chakra system, if you put something there, you're the one that regulates what's there and what stays there and what goes. So if you put something in there, it doesn't matter if you're 1, 3, 7, 9, or 50. You put it there. And until you take it out, it will stay there. So sometimes someone will say, "Well, I'm fine now. I don't have anything." And I'll say, "Well, this feels like, when you were 5." And they'll go, "Oh, when I was 5. Oh, well, my mom died when I was 5."
Right.
And the sadness is still there. The heartbreak is still there. So the person maybe will have asthma because they're trying not to breathe. They're like, how you hold your breath when you're shocked.
Right.
Or they'll be breathing very shallow. They'll have this thing going on and they've had it since they were a kid and they think, well, I'm just an asthmatic kid.
Right.
But asthma is often associated with wanting to control something. It's the ultimate last control that you can do. Okay, I'm going to stop breathing. I'm so upset. I'm just going to seize up. You do a soul retrieval on that. They recover from that trauma. They take that piece of darkness out of that chakra and it goes away.
So I guess for people listening, how do we start to maybe like scan our body for things that we might be holding on to that we don't know?
Well, you can start partly with your physical symptoms. You know where, they are. So if you always have pain in your chest, but you've been checked and it isn't a heart thing, you don't have a heart problem. Well, okay, that's the heart chakra. Now, have I had heartbreak? Have I had some really great sad things happen that I haven't gotten over? And if so, then you can ask yourself, do I have that held in my chakra system, in my heart chakra? And then you could even scan. You could take your right hand and breathe and think of light going into your hand from your crown chakra and from the angels. And then you can take your right hand and like go back and forth over the area of your heart chakra. And if there's a dark spot, often you'll feel it. It will feel like suddenly you hit static or the air kind of got thicker. It might feel hot, but it'll feel like a different energy and it'll feel like a negative energy. And then you can go, "Oh, okay, I am holding that. That's on my right side. That's my male side, or it's on my left side, my female side." If it's on your right side, and it relates to a person, it's not 100%, but it's more likely to relate to an event with a male.
Mm-hmm.
If it's on your left side, it's more likely to have been related to a female. If you have physical issues in the front of your body, they're more likely to relate to more present events. If you have things at the back of your body, in your back or back of your legs or something of that nature, it's more likely to relate to past or past life.
Okay. I mean, this is really interesting. Like, I feel like I kind of want to just do a general scan over me just to see if I can feel the differences. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that I've just maybe disregarded, don't know about, not in my conscious mind, as many of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've just very recently started to say to people on the phone, all right, they'll say, no, I don't have any anger in my heart. I've never been heartbroken. And then I'll say, okay, well, take your hand and go over your heart and you feel that energy and close your eyes and think of where it comes to. And then they start crying. And, well, that was when my cat was hit by a car.
Right.
I mean, so they actually do, it's there and they could feel it. They can feel it physically. And then if you put your hand where you're feeling this weird thing and then you close your eyes and go and you say to yourself, when was a time, an earlier time I felt just like this?
Mm-hmm.
And and just allow yourself to remember who or what incident this relates to. And a lot of times that'll come to mind, and all of a sudden you'll feel that energy of that more profoundly.
Mm-hmm.
Why does all this matter? Because if you're holding heartbreak in your heart chakra, you're more likely to attract to you someone who will break your heart.
Mm.
If you're holding anxiety in your crown chakra, you're more likely to wind up in a situation, a job, or something where that's going to generate anxiety. If you're holding angst in your solar plexus chakra, you're more likely to have stomach issues.
Mhm.
So,
So this is an opportunity to really look at those things that we've disregarded as our normal day and then try to heal them.
heal them as soon as possible so that they're not creating an energy trail, which will attract you more of the same kind of energy.
Hmm.
So I tell people it's just real estate. And I often go back to that one young man a couple years ago who had perfect chakras. And I said, "Don't you get angry?" And he said, "Hell yes, I get angry." I said, "Well, I don't see any in your chakras." He said, "Well, why would I want to put it there?"
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
What do you mean about real estate though? Because like,
Well, I mean, it's like it's not about having it, it's where you put it and live
okay.
with it. If you keep it constantly in your chakra system, it's going to mess you up.
Uh-huh.
If you get angry and you say, "Okay, I'm angry, but I'm not going to hold that in my body. I'm not going to process that in my body. I'm not going to have it in my chakras." Then you're angry, you get over it, and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, if it's in your chakras, then you're more likely to dwell on it because you wake up with it every morning. So it's not that you'll never have an emotion and or say something negative or have something negative happen. And the minor things don't necessarily need to have soul retrievals or major therapy. But if you, as a habit, just, oh my God, I can really feel that. You are breaking my heart. I feel that so much. And you're putting that into your chakra system, then you're just going to attract more and more heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty soon you're saying, well, I don't want to ever feel again because every time I feel it's overwhelming, so I'm not going to feel. Now you've got dark blue. Now you're suppressing your heart chakra.
Uh-huh.
So now you'll attract someone that doesn't feel anything.
Okay.
It's important to realize that the chakras are going to put what you hold as valuable and true and put in your chakra systems. It's going to go kind of goes out, penetrates the universe, comes back and focuses it back on you.
Mm-hmm. So here's an interesting thing. Do you think, I know there's like a little bit of just aging, our bodies don't work as well over time, but do you think that's kind of throughout our lifetime, we kind of pick up these pieces as we get older and we haven't let them go? We're holding on to it, creating more illness
Well,
as we get older.
as I said, if you have a lot of things in your chakra system, your immune system doesn't work as well because
Uh-huh.
you're in the past,
Okay.
and your psychic immune system doesn't work so well. So after a while, you've just depleted the energy of your chakras to the point that you get sick all over.
Mm-hmm.
The body's not working for you. And oftentimes those people like, I don't even want to be in my body,
Right.
which just makes the situation worse.
Right.
And there's one woman that I worked with was attacked really brutally, never dealt with it, and then has 7 cancers in her body.
Right.
Everywhere that attack affected her emotionally, which is a lot of places. So it just got worse and worse, and then the person's they're really in bad shape. I deal with people that are really sometimes in horrible shape from horrible stuff.
Yeah. And I imagine something like a cancer is a slow growing thing. By the time you're, physically seeing the symptoms of that, you probably don't know where it started from.
Right. They say cancer starts with 1 cell to 2 cells, and by the time it gets to a pinpoint, it can be already 5 years.
Right.
By the time it's the size of your fist, it's been a long time.
Right.
So,
The true way to cure cancer, I guess. Clear your chakra system.
yeah, before you get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I had so much stress taking care of my mother, and then I've been since she died really trying to release everything like that. And of course, here I am in a much better environment, and I just had a bunch of blood work, and it looks great. I mean, really great.
Like comparatively when you got it before.
Much, much better.
All across the board better.
Everything better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And that's just less stress, better eating, more exercise, better mental state.
right. Last time they said my cholesterol was really high. Now it's 170, which
Yeah.
is, it's not bad. So everything starts to improve when your chakras improve and when you're moving energy on. And one of the things I started doing the last couple of years is a lot of toning,
Mm-hmm.
and that clears out your chakras, and then it starts to reflect in how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So now at 71, I actually feel much better than I was when I was 55
Right.
by a lot.
Well, in that time, you've learned a lot too.
I've learned a lot, and I've put together, you have a lifetime of stuff, and then you begin to finally connect the dots a little bit more, and start working with more people. And I realized, I've got to do a lot of this for myself too, and you get better. And I have people that I'm working with that, they using everything, and they're getting better.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, in the chakras, it comes down to the thing I've said many times. Do I want to process this in my physical body or my chakra system? And
Mm-hmm.
the answer to that should always be no.
Right.
There's no benefit to doing that.
Right.
Although sometimes someone will say, I'll never let this go, or I'll never get over this. And if you say something like that, of course, you're holding that in your chakra system. So now you have this stuff there and you want to get it out. So, yes, scan over your body and start to think about this. This is, my second chakra. This is in the area of my sexual organs and my hips and my low back, and how do I feel there?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty beat up? Well, then maybe you're holding things about your relationships there. That's just, in my intestinal tract, it doesn't want to move. I have constipation, my stomach's up is upset all the time. Well, that area is your solar plexus chakra, your material world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about the material things you ate, not wanting to go anywhere, being stuck, not moving. Um, and that can be because you had a big loss and you don't ever want to have another loss. And therefore, you're stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
When your chakra becomes stagnant, the colors in your solar plexus chakra freeze, so does your intestinal tract.
Mm-hmm.
People have had years and years and years of constipation. They clear something up in their chakra system, and all of a sudden that all, they don't have to drink all that junk and they're fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if it's not like something physical, like I was talking to someone from online, a guy, and one of the first things he said was like, I have a certain type of OCD. And now having talked to you so much, like I even think like, okay, well, when did that start? Because like as a baby, you're not trying to have the same reoccurring thoughts of this needs to go in this certain place or whatever it is. Like somewhere those mental habits have picked up along the way. And that could be something that,
Absolutely. And, it could be something that they just, I mean, a parent could have said, shut up and just go over there and stand by stand in the corner or something.
yeah,
And then you feel like you can't do anything, or you keep repeating something, or whatever happens.
right.
It's interesting. A lady came to me, and her son, she had been treating him for 22 years. She said she had had him have electrical shocks. He had been in various different institutions. He had done everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just read an article about inositol being very good for OCD and some chronic types of depression, because there's part of the brain that under certain sorts of stress becomes so depleted.
Mm.
At that time, inositol, I had that on the shelf in my herb shop, and it literally cost $2.40.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so this isn't a big, this isn't a big stretch. This is a B vitamin. Give him some of this. Go home and give him a teaspoon of this every day, and see what happens. She said she gave him 1 teaspoon of this, and for the first time in 22 years, he stopped rearranging the drapes. He
Mm-hmm.
literally just turned into a normal person. He just needed a reset, both psychologically and also physically, because he had kept repeating the trauma physically, and it had depleted that part of the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like even though we're talking a lot about our energetic bodies, we still need to give our physical bodies some tools to help it as well.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that they're like two herbs that kind of soothe the nervous system. One's for agitated nervousness, and the other one's sort of like depressing nervousness. One is skullcap, and if you've got the shaky, agitated, jumpy kind of nervous system that's been worn out, that is a tonifying herb that actually rebuilds the nervous system. So that would be an herb you take every day for, a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
If you're kind of just depressed, I just don't want to do anything, I don't care kind of nervous wreck, then you take valerian. And valerian rebuilds your nervous system and gives you a chance to, if you've got to have your physical body have a chance to recover some of this stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
You sometimes need something to tone it. You need some nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very good about, I don't take tons of things, but I'm very good about taking things like that to try to rebuild my system. 71, and I want to be in good shape.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're on your way there. I'm gonna whip you into good shape.
Walking around this town with their snow flat streets. It's all up or down. I feel like I'm mountain climbing, and I just want to go look for a shirt.
Well, and it works. It's more exercise than you were getting before, so
This is true. This is
you
true.
don't see a lot of overweight people here.
This is true. Everyone's skinny.
Kind of like living in San Francisco. I don't know how many steps I did when I lived there, but nobody's overweight in San Francisco, that's for sure.
It adds up. But at any rate, how do you get all this stuff out of your chakra system?
Good question.
Good question. You start bit by bit. And for most people, when they're looking pretty severe, I'll say, okay, a 6-month project. If it's not quite so bad, then I might say, okay, let's look at 3 months. Let's see if in 3 months we can't have you in such a different place that you're going to really have a profound difference in how you feel, your energy levels, and a lot of your symptoms will clear up.
Mm-hmm.
And you start by, first of all, going in your mind through different things that you're angry at, upset about, or tragic moments that you just keep going over and over in your brain. Those are indications that those are stuck in your chakra system and often are something that needs to be healed by doing a soul retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, like, make a list of these things and then say, do I want to keep that in my chakra system? I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but it is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you if you want to keep it or not. And some people say, I do.
Yeah, and that's their choice.
It's their choice.
For the other people that say, no, I don't, and I want to know more about soul retrievals, episode 17. And then we have, after that one, a free guided meditation for soul retrievals.
Right.
So you can listen to that over and over again, write out your list and just keep plugging away.
So I say, make a list of things that you're angry at. And as you're going through the anger, just say, do I want to hold this anger in my physical body?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, literally picture yourself like pulling it out. Like, see, the anger is red or dark, like a red or dark black scarf that you would like pull out of a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And just see yourself saying, I do not want this. I'm not willing to have this anymore in my chakra system. I'm going to pull it out. And if it's a situation where someone was, I don't know, really bad to you, you can send some of that energy back to them. Not in a screw you here, have this darkness place, but more because they're responsible for some of it, and it's easier to send it back than try to heal it by sending it into the light
Mm-hmm.
because don't have permission to heal them.
Mm-hmm.
So you just say, okay, I don't need all this anger and hatred that dumped on me and I've been holding. I'm going to just pull this out, send it back to you, be done with it. I'm going to come back and I'm going to fill that part of my chakra with light.
I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you send to me, I'm gonna send back to you.
There you go. You can use that helpful mantra to do it. But there's some help. I mean, whoever taught that to kids, that's actually
Like, yeah, it's pretty
smart.
insightful, it seems, actually. Yeah, so just taking the higher ground and not getting emotionally involved in it.
Well, you're also saying it's not allowed in my system. It's going to bounce off me.
Right,
It come from you. It's going back to you.
right.
That's exactly it. So, yeah, send it back to that gluey person. They're responsible for what they did. Just because you're older and you think you've got away with it doesn't mean there's no responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I see that in whole families, like the whole family. Now the kids are 30 or whatever, and the parents, and they're all still so messed up. And then they're in a situation, who's making who's miserable and whose fault is it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No. But really it's just there's responsibility all over the place, and the idea is just start chipping away at what you're holding in your chakra system and what you're willing to give up.
Mm-hmm.
I told someone the other day, they said, well, I'm just so angry. I can't stop being angry. I'm always angry. And I just said, well, okay, maybe put a time limit on it. I'm going to be angry for one more month. They said, how much longer do you want to be in the past and hurt all over?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it just decided to come and do it for one more week or one more hour. Or I had one woman that 50 years. She's
Yeah,
been angry at her
yeah.
ex-husband for 50 years.
Some things are harder to let go of than others.
It's interesting though, because she kept saying he stole my life, but she spent 50 years being mad at him.
Right. So if you're really looking at that, who stole
Yeah,
life,
you
right?
lost your life being in the past, being angry for that long.
Yeah.
And once you get to a place, I mean, if you have a heart attack or you have triple bypass or you have to have your knees replaced, or, I mean, once you get that point, uh, it's hard to come back from those things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes impossible to come back from those things. But it definitely is going to be much harder if you let things go to the point where your body is crumbling.
Right.
A lot of people that have fibromyalgia, they're just holding so many things they don't want to feel. So then they're out of their body all the time. So their immune system's not working. But they're still having all this emotional pain from everything that happened to them. And they hurt everywhere. And it just gets more and more exhausting. And then they get into chronic fatigue. And those people wind up in bed for 1 or 2 years trying to
Right.
pull out of it. So that's what we want to avoid. Want to avoid that sort of situation.
Right. Yeah, get ahead of it before it becomes one of these bigger problems.
Right. Right. And one of my goals that I've been working through in my mind is making a children's book about chakras and things. So maybe you can teach it to kids when they're little and they'll be like that one young man. Why would I hold out my chakras?
Right.
I really hate that you stole my bike, but I'm not going to hold it in my chakras. It would be great if kids were saying something like that.
Well, I think like you were saying before is we're taught so many other things in school, and this seems to relate more to us in the world, and nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
And it's more important in some ways than us learning math when we're 5.
I had a little boy that he was having difficulty in school because he was running around during class time. And I guess it was a private school, so he might have been in danger of being kicked out of school. So I got him on the phone. I said, "What are you running away from?" And he said, "The bad thoughts that people have."
Right.
And I said, "Well, there's another way to do that."
He's like, really? Tell me more.
No, he didn't actually say that, but he didn't hang up on me. But he did. I said, "You can think of those bad thoughts and say, I'm not going to let them be in my chakras, in my body,
Uh-huh.
and then blow them away." And I went, and he said, "Oh, so like this?" And I said, "Yes, exactly like this." And he said, "Okay, good. I think we're done here." And he did hang up on me.
Yeah, I mean, there is some things that kids are like, okay, yeah, I get that. I can do that. I see that. And now the solution is very simple.
And then later, his parent said he was doing much better.
Yeah.
So, you know, it can be that way. It can be that simple, really.
Yeah. So you have somebody that you were trying to help, and in the effort of that, we brought on our friend Krista, who's been doing a lot of soul retrieval. She's been releasing anger. She's been listening to the podcast. She's been doing all of the things, and she was really sick and getting better. So she created a voice message for
Mhm.
this person to listen to. And I think we should just share it.
Yes, I think that would be great because Krista went through a lot herself and she's been really happy to share about it. And her life has changed dramatically. Even her mannerisms, her speech has slowed down. She's calmer, she's happier, she's being creative, she's painting. She's just really, really changed.
Just generally full of joy.
Generally full of joy. And she's
And I've even heard other people be like, Krista is back. Like
yeah,
the old Krista is back.
yeah, she's doing really well, and that really
Mhm.
makes me so happy. So yes, we'll go ahead and share that.
Yeah, so here it is.
Hi, Marie. How are you? I just want to let you know that you have been on my mind so much because I am feeling so grateful for you. I went back through some notebooks recently and came across notes from our very first conversation, and I had forgotten, number one, how bad off I was when we first started working together, which looks like now it's been 9 months. I can't even believe that we're still talking regularly, and I'm continuing to feel better and better. And 9 months ago, I was laid up on the couch listening to your podcast and didn't even know you yet. And now I feel like I've talked to you so much that we have a friendship even. And I looked back and I see at one spot you said this is a 3-month plan and it starts now. And I wrote down July 1st. And that is 8, 9 months later, I think, now that we are along. And I remember at the time thinking 3 months sounded like a jail sentence to me. I just thought I would like never get off the couch. And my back pain was so bad. And, everybody, I even went, I remember, and had a CAT scan and was looking into getting a $15,000 surgery. And now I just think I cannot believe that I'm literally digging a big hole outside right now to plant a tree. And that's something I never thought I would even do again in my life. So between that and you getting me to stop drinking and smoking pot, I mean, I feel like I have a new life. And every little thing you did just added up to now, I realize. I mean, the different herbs you recommended, the soul retrievals in particular. I mean, we're so fast and furious in terms of movement of my energy and just feeling better each time. I didn't even know what a soul retrieval was until I listened to that podcast, which was, I can still remember, I think it's number 19, because it was the very first one I ever listened to of the series. And I was lucky that someone sent it to me. And that started my obsession with learning how to heal my own body. So I don't know, I could just go on and on. I feel so indebted to you in so many ways, but mostly I know that you taught me how to take the reins and heal myself in a way that I just didn't think I had the strength to do. So I dug up the chakra reading too, because I hadn't looked over it in a while. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I want to get another one, because I bet you all that dark spot is gone. All those dark energy places you had seen in my chart. I realize now I've learned so much. It was all repressed anger and sadness and resentment. And now I have none of that. Now I've learned how to turn that around immediately. And I just feel like your teaching through those podcasts is so powerful. If I hadn't been laid up on the couch for 8 weeks, I wouldn't have never taken the time to listen to all of them. So I guess I should say I'm grateful for that time of my life that seemed like a dark tunnel to nowhere, because it led me straight to you, and you are the light. So thank you so much for pulling me through that dark tunnel and not giving up on me. I just send you so much love and light back, and big hugs.
Yeah, so Christus is a great example of what is possible.
Yes, and she's definitely not the only one. There are many people that we have been working with, I've been working with, that their life has changed. One person sent me a text, said their life is 1,000 times better. Their relationships are working better. And basically, they're taking charge of their chakra system. They're doing soul retrievals about the shocking and really traumatic things in their life. They're releasing the anger from their life. And they're starting to think about being in charge of their chakras and their energy body, and being the only person that can put anything there, and actually choosing what is in my chakras, and making the story of your chakras be the guide to what you really want. You're not a victim. You rewrite that story.
Taking charge of your own life again.
Taking charge of your own life.
If you got interested in healing, we have lots of other podcasts. Give us a listen. Share this episode with others. Subscribe to our channel here. And we'll have another episode for you guys.
We definitely will.